All right, guys. So I was Googling the other day, which we all do when we have these like big questions in our minds, like how can I create more wealth? Now, which is a big question. Like I think we're all kind of churning that around. Came across this couple who immediately I resonated with, and they were talking about real estate, but they were talking about something more than real estate. They were talking about God's kingdom and what it looks like to operate in wealth. I was like, oh yeah, these people, got to know him, and guys, you're going to love them. So this is David and Katie Marie. They actually founded Simplified Investing. They're authors, speakers, they do the whole thing. But I just want you to really focus and listen in on this, because getting an audience with people who don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk and have the results, that's a rare find. You're going to love this episode of the Hannah Keeley Show. David and Katie Marie, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you
You're so
much
welcome.
for
Thank you
having
so much for
us.
having us.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I just have to tell you, like, I hear so many people, like, I'm always looking for ways to expand my business and other, investments to go into. And I came across, I don't even know how, honestly. So you're doing a good job with your marketing. But I came across, and you guys are talking about investing and how you've helped people invest. But the way you spoke about God's kingdom and wealth and what it means to be a steward of your money, I was like, I am so digging these people. So give us some backstory. How did you even get started? Because you didn't start out as like these, real estate moguls. Like, how did it all start out?
Yeah, great question. Because you're the on-ramp into our world that you found was the kingdom wealth through real estate, right? One of the many things we have going on, and it's incredible. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But yeah, the origin story is really what everybody needs to know, right? Because when people like you or us or somebody, they're like, man, I would love to have the flourishing light. You're thriving, flourishing. This is my favorite human, by the way, on the planet. We are 8 years into this glorious marriage. She's my best friend, my favorite human, my business partner. We're together all the time. We, by choice, we love it. By design, running our businesses that are really our passion projects, right? Helping people. Our 2-year-old Gabriel the Great. But that doesn't happen by happenstance. It's with intentionality and consistent investment into yourself. And we'll get into more of that today. But the origin story for me, years before we met, was, I grew up in a home that was phenomenal in terms of faith in God, loving people, my parents, my siblings. I'm the oldest of 3. But in the area of money, it was a mess. It was more than a mess. It was a train wreck, really. I mean, my dad ended up taking his life when I was 27. My sister was 11, but he battled depression on and off through the years. He got diagnosed with extreme bipolar, but because of the depression and the dynamics, he would go for years at a time without working. So my mom was waiting tables, trying to keep just a roof over her head, lights on, food on the table. And so again, amazing parents as far as the love and everything, but because of the financial lack, stress, strain, struggle, there's a lot of stress and strain on my parents' marriage, their lives, all those limitations. And so early on in my life, I just remember making a decision that, I wanted to be in an opposite situation in the future, my future wife and family. And I made a specific decision. This is master key takeaway number 1 of this session for you all, to write this down, never forget it. And everything starts with a decision. And when you make, and here's the awesome thing about it. You don't have to make many decisions. If you just make one true decision, it will dictate and direct all your daily decisions. You don't even have to think about that. Here's the beautiful thing. I made a decision, and this was the decision. You can copy this decision. And if you're not already financially free today, living in financial overflow, you can sooner than you realize, okay? But it starts with this decision. The decision was, I said, in the midst of the mess, I made the decision. See, you might be in a mess today. It doesn't matter. You don't wait. The decision is now. Today is the day of salvation for your health, financial, relationship, everything. Complete, wholeness, overflow. And the decision was, money's going to work for me. I'm not going to work for money.
Boom. Yes.
But here's what you really need to know. That's the decision. You can copy and paste that into your own brain and life and make that your decision. But because I made that decision and meant it, it happened pretty quickly after that, relatively quickly. And so I became forever financially free in my 20s. That was years ago. And so we've been living life full time and helping many other people do the same. But the origin of it was the decision. And you say, no, it can't be that simple. No, it is that simple. And that's why, and so, but because again, because I made that one decision, it created a fine filter in my mind to where now I don't have to wonder or waver yes or no every day to opportunities, decisions, people I'm hanging out with or not, who I'm hitching my wagon to, and mentors. No, the decision's already made that I'm going to move on the other side of money. Money's going to work for me. I'm not going to work for money. I didn't know that was going to be real estate. I didn't know how that was going to be. I didn't know what it's going to be. All I knew is that was the decision that I made. And because I made that decision, anything that aligned with that, the person who already had that, oh, I'm going to be a student. I'm going to be a sponge. I'm going to get as close to them as I can, as often as I can. I'm going to listen, learn, ask questions, and most importantly, take action consistently on what they're telling me to do, and let go of all doubt, worry, fear, limiting thoughts, lies, what other your friends and family are telling you about it. No, do they have the life you want? Who are you listening to in your life? All right, I'm gonna calm down because I'll get to going.
No, I get to going too. That's why I had to do the standing up so I can run around.
Exactly. I might run some laps.
But it's so important that people understand it doesn't have to be hard. Like, I truly believe making the decision is the hardest part, because you have to say no to a lot of things and yes to one clear thing that you may not even be familiar with. But here's the deal. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you. It's easy, it's rest, it's refreshment, recreation for your souls. Why would he now allow us to operate in abundance and make it hard? Like, that isn't in alignment with a loving Father. And so when you say like making the decision was that one catalyst that led to everything else, then we know everything else, like the pathway's already laid out for you. But it's that place where we go back and forth, if you're hot, you're cold, I'm going to spit you right out, because you're not, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you right out. You got to be hot, you got to be cold, you got to be very clear with the direction you're going in. And then everything comes into focus from that. That's so important that we know that. So you made this decision. All right, money's going to work for me. Now, someone who might be listening is like, what does that even mean? I don't get it. But here's the thing. When you put that out there, you'll start to attract all of that. God will put that in your pathway. You'll start to see it in a new light.
I'll tell you, this is simple. Third graders can get this and do this. So here it is. I drew it on the whiteboard in my room. Okay. And what it was I drew a circle, okay, on the whiteboard and wrote me in the circle. Then I drew spokes out from that, like a wagon wheel, basically. Drew spokes out. And at the end of each line, end of each spoke, I drew another circle, and I drew a dollar sign in each circle, right? And then arrows on the spokes, lines representing a model, financial model that I was going to live in my life, that there were going to be multiple rivers, countless rivers of revenue. People say streams of income. We call it rivers of revenue, flowing into my life. So while we're here, right, giving, helping people, teaching people, we have rivers of revenue flowing and growing without us having to do anything. If you want that, just say, I want that. Here's the thing. You just got to get out of your own way and learn how to receive. Listen, this isn't something that you got to go create or build, because that's what you think it is. Well, I got to go. No, it exists. All this river revenue is flowing all day, every day, all around you. Let me give you a quick example of how simple this is. One of our newest students, okay, he's 20 years old. He lives in a whole different state. Okay. In his first 2 months of working with us teaching him some things, right? He acquired, now, because we teach people how to acquire income producing assets with no money out of pocket, no credit, on a part-time basis, so you can step into financial overflow, which means while you're sleeping, while you're traveling, while you're living your dreams, finances are flowing and overflowing in and through your life, okay? Now, one of the ways to do that is to own income producing real estate with no money out of your pocket, no credit, on a part-time basis. So this 20-year-old student, in the first 2 months of working with us and learning some things that we showed him how to do, he was very teachable, coachable. That's the key. He followed the recipe, right, of the chef, said, here, do this. So he did it. In the first 2 months, acquired 2 turnkey properties, a 16-unit and a 29-unit portfolio of rental properties that were fully rented, needed no work. They had tenants already in it. Did I tell you you don't have to build it? You don't have to create it? Did I tell you you can sign papers and start getting paid while you sleep, financial overflow money?
My
And
goodness.
reaping where you haven't sown, someone else
Yeah.
put the tenants in there, built the buildings, did all the stuff. And now you get to sign papers and start getting paid financial overflow while you sleep because you just knew where the switch was to turn the light on. Can I get a witness
Wow.
of it? So
Oh, so
the
good.
issue is you're surrounded by abundance infinitely. You just don't know. You don't have the light on to see where the switch is at on the wall that's within your reach. No, you got to get this. It's not someday, hope so, somewhere far off. No, that's not how God works. It's within your reach, the switch.
Now faith is.
Exactly. And so because of that, within 2 months with us, he's stepped into a forever abundance life, not just for him and his fiance that they'll never have to trade time for money or work another day in their life in the first 2 months, just those two deals, but the legacy of freedom and abundance to their children and grandchildren, and the ripple effect of them unlocking and unleashing people out of the land of limitations to live was actually the normal kingdom life, which is a life of limitless abundance in all areas. So that's just a little
so good
message.
But it's so exciting to know that this is available.
It's
it really
more than available.
But see, that's what a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, there's the haves, there's the have-nots. I mean, I remember, okay, I'm going to tell you this story really quick. Me and my husband, we grew up, with the whole, you get a job. I mean, you go to school, graduate, get a job, save some money as much as you can, retire. That's all we thought, right? Very limited. We weren't exposed to how to create legacy wealth. We were exposed to get a job. That'll pay your bills. If you're lucky, if you can make it to the end of the month. So here we are. We're both like starting out in life together, right? We don't have any kids. We were young, married, living in a tiny little house, like it's a 2-bedroom, but the bedrooms were like, you could sit on the toilet and open up the front door at the same time. We'll just say that's how big it was. But so anyway, we were invited to go to this party, right? And we started driving out to this party. And the house has changed from like these tiny little things with, little measly front yards and a little ugly stoop to these mega mansions, like fountains in the front, doors 12 feet high. And we're just like drooling, in the car as we go into this neighborhood, which we've never been in before. So we're driving there. And I remember it's silent. My husband's creeping along in that old nasty like minivan that we had with the peeled paneling on the side, going along at about 20 miles an hour. And I remember saying, how in the world do you get here? And I'll never forget what Blair said. He said, I don't know. I guess you just have to be born into it. I said, I guess you're right. We had no idea. No idea, David. No idea, Katie Marie, that we had been born into it when we said yes to Jesus. We had been born again, and we had no idea the abundance that lied for us in that covenant that we now had with God. He told us, you go be fruitful, you go multiply, go expand, subdue, like do all of this with the creative power I've given you. And then we creep along in life thinking, I just wish I had enough money to keep the lights on. Like that is not the life we're created to live, but we get indoctrinated that it is. So when we're talking about, never having to work for money and having money work for you and setting up a legacy of wealth, I'm telling you, there are some people who are listening right now who are like, that just sounds so unattainable. I mean, that sounds great, but I just don't think with my current situation, that's possible for me. What would you say to that?
Well, the thing is, what I would say is it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about what you just have in your hands. I mean, you take the miracle of the loaves and the fish. The little boy had his lunch there and was like, hey, I've got this. I don't think that he probably, at the age he was, he probably had a very expanded mind and he thought, well, they need food. I have food. He didn't think, well, this isn't going to feed everyone, Jesus. What do you think you're going to do with this? He gave it and God multiplied it. And so what we teach is the power of collaborative leveraging, which basically says everything that you could ever need is in the palm of the hands of everyone around you. And we all become puzzle pieces to each other. And we complete this beautiful roadmap to the kingdom that we never could have experienced if we hadn't worked together. And so, you know, that's how the kingdom is, right? We're the body. The eye does something different from the toenail. But anybody who has had a misfunction, a misfiring with the eye, or a misfiring with the toenail would tell you that they are equally as important. And so we come together through collaborative leveraging. So, you know, what I want to tell any of you who are like, I don't have literally like 2 nickels to rub together, as a saying from a long time ago. But the thing is, what do you have? You have access to other people who have more than 2 nickels to rub together. And the thing is, it's just all about riches flowing through relationships. We teach that all day, every day. And so, you know, when we're looking from our own little perspective on life, and it's like, well, I have this, I don't have that, I came from here, I believed this, I was told this, this person spoke this over me, then it's a very limited view, and we can't do everything that God wants us to do, right? The bottom line is God doesn't need us to do anything, but he chooses to collaborate with us. Even at the beginning in the garden, Adam was given authority to speak the name of, he named everything. Did God need Adam to name everything? No, it could have already come with a name, and God could have been like, this is an apple, this is an orange, but instead he chose to collaborate with Adam. And so that's what this is all about. And we have to shift our perspective from where we've been to what God says we are supposed to do, what we're supposed to have, what we're supposed to be. So
it's 100%. I mean, this is the answer. Many times, many of you listen to this, and we know because we were in those shoes of the land of limitations. And now for years, living in life with no limits and helping many others do the same. So we know this through experiential knowledge. This is not theory, theology, opinion, belief. This is experiential knowledge, which
we help people every single day, just like you.
We know that if you're living a life with limitations, it's a result of the internal, not the external, right? Because it's all in the Bible. It says that, you know, what we think about, we bring about. I mean, that's what that's why Jesus talked about renew your mind daily. Get my thoughts, higher level thoughts, better thoughts, wiser, more wisdom, knowledge, understanding, though it costs you to have good understanding. Because if you just get that instead of trying to get all this, seek ye first the kingdom first, then all these other things will be added to you. What most people live in their lives, their whole lives is cart before the horse, trying to make these things happen, make a great marriage, make bills, do this, and wonder why there's weariness and frustration and discouragement and still limited results after all that effort. Hey,
all the effort.
The answer is to stop. That's your answer. Write it down in all caps in your notes right now. Your answer that God has for you is stop. That's the answer. Because until you stop, you can't start in a new direction, a better direction. See, that's why the enemy has people on the hamster wheel of busyness. Now, let me drop a word right here. If you are listening to this and you say, if we would say, hey, what's your life like? If one of the descriptive words of your life is busy, I feel busy, I am busy, I got kids, I got job, I got it. Okay, let me help you. If you would describe your life as you are busy, let me tell you what that really means. Busy, B-U-S-Y, stands for being under Satan's yoke.
Oh, yes. Yes. He wants you distracted. He wants you hustling and grinding. That whole recipe that we've been indoctrinated to believe. The harder you work, the better your results, is a recipe for destruction. People are stressed out. They're on more medication than ever before. Marriages are falling apart. Parents don't know their kids. Kids don't know their parents. And they're struggling to just make it to the end of the month. That's destructive living.
And the reason it's happening is because you've been programmed your whole life. By the messengers of what they say, what the world says is success. The billionaire, I have a screenshot. One of the billionaires, wealthiest people financially on earth, on his social media posted work like hell. So that's their prescription to you for success. Wow. If you want a promotion at your job, what do you need to do? Work more hours, longer hours away from your spouse and children, right? at the detriment of your health, your relationships. So it's all backwards and jacked up versus this way where you flourish simultaneously in all areas of your life, in your marriage, your health, body, soul, and spirit, your relationships, finances, impact in the world. All of it consistently and simultaneously expands, multiplies, just like nature. Look at these trees. Are they breaking sweat out here today? Are they grinding and striving, trying to produce fruit? No, you know what they're doing? They are at rest, just being what they were designed and created to be. And the result, abundance perpetually. All these beautiful mangoes out here. We live in the Garden of Eden down here in Florida. So here's the answer. You've been conditioned to be a human doing rather than a human being that God made you. Okay. So what that means is, because the billionaires are telling you in school, told you this, your parents say, go to school, get good grades, to get a good job, to get on the hamster wheel and just hustle your whole life. So you never live the life of your dreams and greatest passions and purposes and callings and potential. You live in this little bubble of limitations versus what God has for you. It's all by design that the world designed for you. They give you their plans. So stop with that today and say no to that and say yes to God's plans for your life. And this mental shift the sails of the sailboat of your mind so you can catch the winds of his amazingness into the land of beyond your dreams. And on a practical level, it's as simple as this. We say, don't work like hell, the grind, the hustle, the outwork competition. No, thank you to that. No. We say work like heaven. What does that look like? It looks like I'm laying on the beach with my wife while we're at rest. The Bible says work hard to enter my rest, not work hard to work harder. It says work hard to enter my rest. What does that look like? When we're positioned at rest, personally and with him and with each other, and we've positioned ourselves to own these income producing assets, then the money keeps flowing and growing without us having to do. Think about that. I got to do this, got to do that. I got to take my kid. I'm doing all over myself when I'm in the do mode. All right. But that's so true. When you're in the be mode, you learn how to be who God designed you to be, and you watch all this fruitfulness happen through your life. And it goes back to what you said, Hannah. You're like, man, this is easier than anything I've ever done. Exactly, because he said, when you line up with me, you agree with me. And you line up with me in your mind, your words, and your actions, then the only result that happens is abundance in all areas. You modeled it. You can't, there is no other result.
Right. So, or else God would not be God. God would not be God. If there was another result, then God would not be faithful. He would be a respecter of persons. And that is not true. The truth is God is who he says he is. There's no shadow of turning. And what he does for one, he does for another. So now plug into that. So people are wondering, all right, I'm on board. Like, I want to seek first the kingdom of righteousness and then let all these other things seek me. David even said that your blessing chases me down and overtakes me. Like, we want to live that life where we're just like operating, planted, grounded, seated, producing fruit. The first step is to make that decision. What do we do after that?
Well, and then it's cultivation. So there's decision, and there has to be cultivation of the nourishment. There's a process of his principles and processes. That's all. It's his book of promises and covenants, and they're all abundant.
It's all yes and amen.
It's not, you know what? I love you, but I'm going to withhold some of my goodness, and I'm going to give you a little bit of peace, a little bit of joy, a little bit of power and authority and provision. No, you can go read it all throughout the Bible, but in Romans 8 also it says, he didn't even withhold his own son, his best, his all, his own life in radical fashion. He gave him. So it says, if he did that, won't he, along with him, will he withhold any good thing from his children? No, the confusion is what you call good and evil and what God says is what's good and evil, right? Because when you're like, I need, give me as immature babies as we are to God, he's like, no, that blessing would crush you because you don't have the wisdom to handle it yet. Okay. And so he's more interested in our personal growth and development and maturity. He wants to bless you far more than you ever could want to be blessed. That's his heart. But in order for that to happen, this is really, to me, the answer of all this, of what we're talking about. You got to first realize and then act accordingly that you are the real estate. No, we didn't get it.
Wait, break it down.
We didn't get it. You are the real estate. Because when we say real estate, you all of a sudden think what you think real estate is: buildings, properties, land. No, that's not real estate, my brothers and sisters and my friends. That's secondary. You are the real estate. God said it. You're the house that God built. It says that in the Bible. You're the most valuable real estate in the universe that God created is you, specifically within you, this right here. These limitless lands of creativity and possibility and unique, everything that he made you in his image to what? Reflect him to the lost, hurting, broken, dying world in lack.
Right.
So that you are the clone of he who made you in his image. But we have a responsibility. It's not just automatic, like, okay, God maybe, no, now he gave us the free will to choose to say, okay, God, I see today I'm learning I am the real estate. What does that mean? So instead of you focusing on the external things, striving, grinding, trying to make your finances work, your marriage work, and trying to make all those external things work, there's one thing you need to do. You need to work as harder on yourself than you ever work on anything.
That's right. That's right.
And if you don't do that, I promise you, you will continue living and you will live the rest of your life in great limitations.
Absolutely.
Great discouragement, frustrations, limitations, massive limitations relative to God's plan and what's available to you right now to step into. But I know this, there's a lot that I don't know, but I do know this. I can say all day long, I want to be the greatest husband to her and sweep her off her feet all day, every day, and father to my child and friend and business person and speaker. I can say that, but if my actions don't show that I'm investing more in as much or more in myself than I'm investing in anything, then I am lying to myself and to you and to everyone. And I know this is an uncomfortable truth, but the truth will make you free if you just accept it today and say, okay, I'm done working on all these other things with limited results, frustrating results. I'm going to start becoming and being by investing in myself, getting the mentor, getting the coach, doing whatever sacrificial investment of time, money, resources into yourself. Jesus did it. He said it. Then out of that, 8 years into this marriage, I can tell you our marriage is more amazing than I ever knew marriage could be.
Yeah.
That is happening. The fruit of that in our marriage, our health, our relationship with our child, our businesses, the impact, all of that is a byproduct of this one thing that we daily choose to do. Do we always get it right? No. But we know that as long as we're going back to this one truth that he tells us, the lever to investing in ourselves so that I can be more of who he made me to be, so that to her I can be more that she needs and wants, and even beyond that, that's the heaven on earth kingdom life plan that he's given to all invite us into.
So step one is to make a decision, right? And to say yes to what God has for you, no to everything else. When you say yes to all this little wind and waves and, oh yeah, maybe I'll try this. Maybe I'll start a network marketing business. Maybe I'll start this little small business. Maybe I'll do all these different things. Do you realize you're actually saying no simultaneously to everything else? So when you say yes to the one thing, yes, you're saying no to other things. But when you're deluding yourself all over the place, wanting to say yes to all of the opportunities, there's nothing left for you to pour into yourself than to pour into the people that God has allowed in your life. Most of all, to pour into the Lord. So number one is to make a decision. Number two is to get a mentor.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can YouTube all day long. There's information everywhere. There's like an information overload, right?
Yeah, it's not an information problem.
No,
absolutely not. It's
execution
a knowing
problem. Implementation.
Yes, and an execution problem. And so get a mentor is step two. Step three is to do what the mentor says to do. And it's vital that you find a mentor wherever you decide to find them that has the track record and the proven success. Not only that, but the proven system that you can then be plugged into so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Like there's no point in recreating the wheel. We know the wheel works. We see it work. We use it everywhere.
Right.
Create it. And so it really is an execution issue, but people are just trying to do all the different things and they're frustrated and they're like, I don't know. I don't know how to make extra money outside of trading time for dollars. So that's
even the Proverbs 31 woman. She looked at a field and she decided, would it be worth my investing to make this fruitful or not? Like that was prudence. When she operated in prudence, she's like, you know what? I'm going to look at this investment And I could choose not to, but if I choose it, I'm putting everything in. That's why our yes has to be yes. That's why our no has to be no. And that's why it's so powerful when we make a choice decision. Like there's always action. Like if there's no action, like, come on, faith without works is dead. If there's no action, then there is really no belief. And so you've got to have the belief that, you know what, God has positioned me. And maybe someone listening and watching right now, maybe you've been praying for, you know what, I'm finished with the hustle. I'm finished with the grind and I'm just done with it. God, is there a better way? Yes, there is a better way. You make the decision that it's that you were born into it, that it is your right as a believer, and execute it all day long. Just follow it through. And this is the part I think we get when we don't see results right away, we'll move on to another field. But just like you said, David, it's being fruitful, and fruit takes a while to produce, but that doesn't mean we leave the tree. It means we keep on nurturing where we made the decision and we follow through. And I just love that you're representing kingdom so beautifully in every area, because I know some people are like, well, maybe it's just not on the cards for me to be wealthy. Maybe that's just other people. But I mean, didn't God allow us to have abundance in every area of our life? Like, why would that be any less in line with what he wants for us?
We're also supposed to be attractive to people who don't know Jesus. And
right.
The king's kids have clothes that are all tattered and torn and held together by dental floss. Why would someone who doesn't know Jesus want to?
Are they going to say,
like, I don't want your God?
Sign. Are the lions going to line up and say, sign me up for the struggle bus? I want to live on the struggle bus.
Thank you.
Or do they want to get on the bus that go into Disney World or some theme park? I mean, we need to take the lessons from the children, the little ones. Yes. I mean, because really they're the master teachers if we pay attention.
And children make zero assumptions. When they come into the world, they assume nothing. And as we grow, we develop more and more and more assumptions. And actually in our marriage, we have worked to not have assumptions. We will ask questions for clarity, but when we make assumptions, things go wrong. And so, you know, in every area of our lives, we are trees planted beside still waters, right? And we are to be a part of a vine that bears much fruit, right?
Much fruit.
To know us by our fruit. And so every single area of our lives should be thriving. Like people of the world should be looking at Christian marriages like, I want that. I want to see my marriage look like that. What's the thing that they have that I don't?
Passion.
It's Jesus.
Yes.
Right?
Well, we've been married over 30 years. And what is so funny is that it came out on social media and it went viral that we've never had a fight in over 30 years. And the amount of backlash we got, like major talk shows, you know, like, oh, they're a bunch of liars. That can happen. We're like, you know what? That's okay. We're not here to like prove anything to you. We're here to live out joy and abundance in our marriage. So you believe what you want to, but we're going to set a standard of something different. And I think it doesn't just apply to your relationships. It applies to your finances. It applies to everything. God's blessing is non-categorical. He wants it to show up in every area of your life. That's why I have one tattoo on my body, and it's the word everything, because according to Deuteronomy and Psalm, everything I put my hand to will prosper. That's what God wants for us. So today I want to make sure that people leave here like they're excited. Like I feel the excitement, right? What can they do, or what can they, not just an action, but what can they believe today that they could follow through with an action?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things, two sides of the coin, right? And you hit it. First, it's about your BS inside your brain, your belief system. So whatever your belief system is what you're creating all day, every day. You're literally manifesting. God created you to create. So therefore, that's what you're doing all day, every day, whether it's conscious or unconscious, subconscious. You are creating all day, every day.
Yeah.
Your words are creating your world. Your thoughts, your words, your actions are creating the life, the reality that you live in your health, relationships, finances, marriage. abundantly or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
It's in the book, like you mentioned, Deuteronomy. And so I wanted to say one thing that I think ties into the answer to this. Because when people heard you mention wealth, I know some people were thinking, well, I don't agree. That doesn't make sense because what about the missionary who isn't into money? They're into ministry. Well, then why are they doing fundraisers and coming back to people, the wealthy people saying, we need money? So
I need money.
Are they into money? Do they need money? Are they attached to a need of wealth? Yes. Deuteronomy. Yes. So we got to redefine what we've been defining the word wealth as God defines it. We need to agree with him how he defines wealth, prospering in all areas and all those things. So wanted to make sure they understand what we're talking about. And then, so yeah, as far as takeaways and like actionable items, from what we've found and experienced and walked a lot of people through, just like you have, is it's always an inside job. It's not
always.
Think it's external. You think you need to fix your spouse or fix this person or no. God wants to talk to you about you. Okay.
Yes.
Whenever I go to God about God, like, hey, what's he interested in talk about? Me. What's the lesson that I need to learn in whatever this external opposition, trial, test, by the way, that are going on in your life? They're actually opportunities in disguise. It's
100%.
It's an opportunity for you to learn and grow, which is his focal point. It's not ours oftentimes. Ours is like, get me out of this thing. Do this for me. He's like, well, you can keep wandering around in the wilderness in Freedomville for 40 years until you die, or you could walk on into the promised land today with me. But it's up to you. Are you going to listen and learn and apply and live? Listen, learn it, live it. There's the answer. What you do with today's message or any great message that God sends messengers into your life, like listen, because a lot of people heard it, but they didn't listen. He said, you have ears you do not hear. You have eyes you do not see. So wisdom's crying out loud. I read it this morning from the street corner all day, every day.
Yeah, every day, every day.
It's up to you. Are you ready to receive, listen, right? Learn it, meditate, marinate in there, learn it, make it, internalize it in order so you can live it, so you can live that abundant life. Because if you don't, there's one of two things. We either live the abundant life that God put us here to live, or we rob everyone all day, every day of the person we're supposed to be. See, there's the painful truth we need to sit in. If I'm not growing right now and every day the way that I should be investing in myself, as a childlike is the answer. Humble, hungry, learning it right now from you girls, from every conversation, listening. What can I learn? What can I live more effectively, efficiently in alignment with God? Not out of a doing and striving, but out of a heart set of, I want to listen and learn. It's exciting. So if any time that I'm not in alignment with that flow of growth, then what you really need to know, the painful truth is, it's not just you're missing out on your dreams. Okay, because that's not enough to motivate you many times to actually change like you need to. But this level of pain might, that you're literally robbing your children. You're allowing the enemy through your life to rob your children, your spouse, your friends, the world of the gift of the you that's inside of you that you haven't let out of you yet until you lean in and listen and learn and live in actionable steps what we're talking about here.
So good.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're talking about callings and those dreams and the people who live and are praying for you to say yes to those dreams so that they can be impacted and then create a ripple effect with their lives and their lives and their lives. If we don't say yes to the dream, if we don't say yes to who God says we are, when the dream comes, we'll say no to it. We'll slam the door out of fear, or we'll self-sabotage it. So, I mean, we hit the mind so hard because it's everywhere through the Bible, right?
Everywhere.
Let me say this, because I want to make sure this is my answer to your question just there, is that we have to get a changed mind to get a changed life.
Yeah.
Every time. This isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing. It says that Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So that was an ongoing progressive realization of a process.
And he was God.
Well,
So come on, like we need to do likewise. As he is, so are we in this world. We got to follow the pattern.
If we thought it was important, maybe we should take a second look.
Yes. And so one of the best ways to do, because we are a product of our environment.
Yeah.
So our environment, we place ourselves in environments with great intentionality.
Yeah.
While we're here today, the people we put around us that allow us to speak
100%.
in our life, that because you are the thoughts that you're thinking aren't your thoughts. It's the programming of the thoughts that you're around, that are listening, that you're receiving, that are programming your thought ways, which creates your life. So the beautiful thing is you can change that right now and anytime. You can hang around different people that have different and better thoughts and fruit in their life in whatever area that you want to grow in and have more abundance in your life. Yeah. And we call that life professors. So I have a bachelor's degree and master's degree, of which I use neither. Both of you laughed at that.
It's so funny. That was so typical. So typical.
So, but when people look at our life, like, how is it? I don't understand. Like, don't you know what the government and economy is doing? You all aren't, I don't see any stress. You're so full of joy and peace and fun, and you're married to your best friend all these years, and you own these businesses, but it doesn't seem like you ever work, because we don't work. They're passion projects, right? But, and you get to travel and you get to do all this. We're like, well, it's simple. You got to get out of your own way, right? Number one. Right. Number two, though, we have and continue to hitch our life to the life professors that are farther along in the areas of life that we want to continue growing and expanding in, right? And that's the answer. That's the answer. You know, you can work harder or smarter. And here's the working smarter and collapsing time in itself, the power of proximity. You just connect yourself to the person. These are what we call life professors. I spent many years and tens of thousands of dollars. I say spent, not invested, because I can't equate any dollars that have actually financially from college. And
it was a true.
Right.
But the point is, though, well, when I look at our life we get to live, that we pinch ourselves all day, every day, we're like, man, do we really get to live here and live with you and like do all that and impact these people and help and do all this? Like, it's so clear. It's so simple. It's because of the life professors, the people who I was like, I want to be financially free. So what do you mean? You mean a life professor? What is a life professor? A life professor is someone who has the life in the area of life that you want, and they're willing to profess to you. That's a life professor. Okay, they have the life, the abundance that you want, financial freedom, health, amazing marriage, whatever it is. They have, see, Hannah's a life professor. That's why y'all are here listening. She's a life professor for you. So they have the life you want in that area of life, and they're willing to profess to you the path to walk into that promised land in that area of life. It's simple. So just
hit your wagon. Just hit your wagon.
That's it.
Not only
like it's
not
hard.
Willing to profess to you how they did it, they're actually going to take your hand and walk you down the path that they have already been down.
That's so true. That's so true. And when you come across those people, and God will allow those people to come into your life, like the moms who I'm able to help, the people in real estate that you're able to help, like he will position those people, and then you have to make a decision. Do I stick with my ways? And in the Bible, it says there's a way that seems right. In the end, there's death. Do I stick with my ways, or can I trust and invest and just follow the system? And it's somewhat like they have to have the results. And like you said, Katie Marie, they have to have the system so that they can just walk you through it. And it doesn't have to be hard. Guys, this has been gold. I know we went over, and I want to thank you for going over, but this is just enough, I think, to get that appetite up and ready for all the abundance that God has for us. Know this right now. The reason you're listening and watching is I believe God is telling you it's time to let go of the brakes, get your foot off the brakes, and open up to everything. Just like you said, David, they're already rivers flowing. It's time to get all the obstacles out of your way. Trust that God has something better for you and step into the flow.
100%. Thank you for having us. And you just said it. I mean, it's totally the case.
Guys, you're amazing. Thank you for what you're doing for people, for the kingdom, for leaders everywhere. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you.